Hello, everyone.
Hello, guys.
We decided to go on we decided to do a live stream because we were talking about the Guterres 5+1 meeting, which the episode is coming, and if you want to hear about our thoughts. And we were having a nice discussion about Guterres, Tufan Erhürman, the elections in the upcoming in the north, Cyprus problem, nationalism, and being the discussion of being a Cypriot, etc. Generally, it's very hard being a Cypriot, and Berk said that we should do a live stream, and then here we are. I'm joined by Mr. Berk Erçika and Mr. Timuçin Hakkı, Plan C. And if you haven't followed Plan C, please go follow Plan C. He has great insights in the Instagram sphere. He's my go-to Cyprus problem analysis. Together, him and Halef, both of them are very, very important people, I think, and it's very nice to be able to speak to them in person. I can't see anyone's comment section, so Berk, you are in charge of that, and if anyone's watching, just please tell me.
That's what I'm doing.
Yep, great, perfect, because I can't see anyone. So yeah, we were discussing about Cyprus nationalism. Does anyone want to start where we're off? Because now it's live, it's a bit awkward, but we were having a nice discussion. Okay, if not, I'll continue speaking. Basically, just to bring these four people into us. Hi, by the way. We were talking about being a Cypriot is very hard because you are fighting Turkish nationalists, Turkish Cypriots who are nationalists, Greek Cypriot nationalists, Greek people, and it's really hard to protect the Cypriot identity. And we were sharing some experiences. Tim was sharing some experiences with just mainland Greeks or Greek Cypriot nationalists. Berk was sharing experience with Turkish people, and I was also sharing some experience with Turkish Cypriots who it's like defending the Cypriot identity. And the Cypriot identity, I believe it exists, obviously, and there's a reason why Cyprus exists on its own. And we were discussing on how the identity is always pushed back when you're discussing about the island and when you're discussing with a mainland individual. So I apologize for the terminology as well. Sometimes I use terminologies that don't align with my worldview, but here we are. That's the best word that I can find in my small English vocabulary, unfortunately. But when you're talking with a Turkish person from the mainland, he's like, you have no cultural difference between someone from Erzurum, Hatay, Adana, or someone in Izmir or whatever. And it's obviously, I think Greeks, Turks, us, we share a lot. I think they're very similar cultures. I think, in fact, from food to, except for religion, from food to like how we behave as a human being, I think it's very similar, and we don't like to see that, and we always fight for the stuff that are very small. Sorry, you gotta bear with us. You're gonna have to bear with us. Is the live stream on, by the way? I have no idea if it's on or not.
Yeah, no, it's on.
You guys have to bear with us because this is my first time ever going live with studio behind the scenes. It's the first trial. We should have done a couple of trials, but we didn't, because that's the Cypriot way. We just say hallederik and we just go. And yeah, we were just talking about that basically, and it's really hard to defend the Cypriot identity, even though logically speaking, history, our existence, the way we feel, the way we act, and especially for me as a Turkish Cypriot community, we are obviously different than Turk, but we also have a lot of similarities. But it's just the difference is what it makes us Cypriots. The history, what it makes us Cypriots. The choices we make every day makes us Cypriots, and it's vastly different than a Turkish person from Republic of Turkey or Turkey. Again, terminologies, I apologize. But that's basically where we're at, and we hope that you have a very nice conversation. Yes, anyone else want to discuss about it, talk about it?
Well, I mean,
I think
it's interesting. Oh, sorry. Okay, so on the topic of identity, and trying to form a common identity, it's interesting because we're not only getting our identity attacked by outsiders from Turkey and Greece, but there's also people within who are undermining Cypriot identity. And like, they're Cypriots. And one example I can give you, and I think it's a strong example because it's mirrored in the south. But it's the example of one of my uncles in the north who's, lives in the Kyrenia suburbs, quite well off, votes UVP. Ask him what his identity is, and he's a 100% full-blooded Cypriot. He wants you to know that. That's one of the first things he wants you to know. And he says he's descended from Julius Caesar and the Roman occupation of the island. So he's very, very proud Cypriot, but he goes to Ersin Tatar's garden parties. And when you ask him about the people on the island, he says the people in the south are the Greeks, the people coming from Turkey are the Turks, and it's only just like the Cypriots in the north, 100,000 of them, they're the true Cypriots. So he denies the identity to everybody else on the island. And I was speaking with my landlord down the south about this, and he was like, yeah, no, we have people who do this too. They tend to be aligned with like the center-right parties, like DICO, DIPA, and they basically say, yeah, we're the Cypriots, fuck the Greeks, fuck the Northerners, all of the Northerners are Turks, but they're the only true Cypriots. And what's even more alarming, I think, is that this mentality in the south has kind of been formalized by their media. If you watch Greek Cypriot media and they talk about the two sides, like they never say the Greek Cypriot side and the Turkish Cypriot side. They say the Cypriot side and the Turkish Cypriot side. So their media is like conditioning them to see the south side as the Cypriot side and then to see the north side as like something just a little bit slightly removed from us, the Turkish Cypriot side. Yeah, we have the Cypriot bond, but we're the Cypriots, they're the Turkish Cypriots. And this is really, really annoying for me as a person who has to live here because I go to dinner parties, I speak to sweet old ladies, people's aunties, people's grandmas. And when I say something like the Cypriots in the north, they always say something like, what Cypriots in the north? You mean the Turkish Cypriots? And it really pisses me off because I think to myself, well, isn't that obvious who I mean? But there is just a thing, and it's getting worse over time. The people in the south are the Cypriots and the northerners are the Turkish Cypriots. And when you have an education system in the south that tells you Cypriot equals Greek, well, I don't know. That's just another level of, control over the identity, I guess. And
really bad because we could have just make this island hell of a crazy place, like much wealthier, much livable, and I think we can still do it. It's not late. We just need human interaction and connection, more trade, like more trade, more crossings, more interaction. Well, the best way to understand, all right, I'm talking for the pro-peace arguments. Best way to understand that we are doing something correct is to look at pro-partitionist people. What do they don't want? What do they are trying to block us from? For example, Tatar with he was like closing some initiatives that like the Turkish Cypriot kids and the teachers they cross the south, I think, and
the Imagine program.
Like, yeah, Imagine program exactly. If they're closing, that means we have to do it again. We have to reopen. That's so easy. They're just showing us what to do. So yeah, because they're scared. They're scared that their system, their everything is gonna be bad because basically under EU, under humanitarian environment, you have to actually put a work and make a living. It's not like you can't really. It's not gonna be as comfortable as in there and sea for them. So yeah, let's see. You guys want to talk about very little bit, cramps of the 5+1 and stuff?
I think that people should watch the 5+1 YouTube video. It will be out hopefully in a couple of days. We'll see. Because I think it was the best video that I personally made. And I think Tim was killing it as well. We were really good. Very informative, very nice video. But I want to say about the Cypriotness, because I think it's a debate topic and it's like very secure, very fun topic. It's so interesting that Greek Cypriots only accept like Cypriot equals Greek or Cypriot equals Greek people on the island, which makes sense. I mean, I guess, but it's very interesting because for me and for I think Turkish Cypriots, when you say Cypriot, all-encompassing the Greek Cypriots, the Armenians, the Maronites, the Jews, every single one of them, all of the communities on the islands. And if you have the Cypriot culture, and if you live on the island, and if you accept that you are a Cypriot, and you are a Cypriot, you are an islander. So very interesting to see the differences. Because coming back to the point, being again a Cypriot is very hard, because you have to defend your identity to everyone. Like, you have to prove that you are a Cypriot, which is so weird. No, I think I want to say no country in the world, there might be a few exceptions, has this kind of an identity where you have a republic, you have citizenship, you have an identity, you have a separate culture from separate from all of the countries around you. Very interesting interactions within your own community and your hierarchical structure and your entire nation, and then just have to defend that you are Cypriot. you live in the republic, you have the ID, you have everything separate, etc. And you just go, I'm Cypriot, and someone says, no, you're not Cypriot, you're Greek, or you're Turk, you're this or that. It's so funny. It's just, you're like, what's going on, man? I live in the island of Cyprus. I have a unique culture. I mean, when I say unique, obviously very similar cultures, but the distinctive culture, distinctive dialect, language, and it's like so funny.
I think one of the really interesting things that Cypriot nationalism, as it's practiced by people like Oz Karahan and Şener Levent, we'll call them the hardliners, the unitarists. But in general, like, not just hardliners, more moderate people like ourselves, actually, I'm sure many of our friends would agree with this, but the Cypriot identity has been limited to those who were Cypriots at the time of independence, 1960. So we have Turkish and Greek Cypriot communities, but we also include the Armenians, the Maronites, the Latins, and the Romani Cypriot, right? And we call this the Cypriot nation. But this was only the Cypriot nation because that was the reality in 1960. When you looked on the island of Cyprus, these were the 6 communities. But now we've inherited a Cyprus that is so much more complex, so much more international. Like, after a solution, if there is a solution, we've got people from the north who come from Russia, from Iran, from Israel, who've got PRNC citizenships. We've got people in the south. There are more Russians in the south than if you added the Romani, Latin, Maronite, and Armenian Cypriot populations together. There are more Russian Cypriots. So, do we then have to recognize these newcomers as Cypriot communities? I mean, what's going to happen to the Cypriot narrative now? Because we're too international to deny this basic reality about our population now. And, another problem that a lot of Turkish Cypriots, they tell me it's a problem. I don't necessarily see it as a problem, but I understand why they're worried. They want, after a solution, for Turkish Cypriots to be treated as a culturally different community to Turkish immigrants. And there are a lot of very good reasons for this. There's dialect, birthplace, culture, whatever. But at the same time, the solution that we're working with basically assumes that the Turkish speakers of the north are the Turkish Cypriot community. So, it's such a complicated identity to think through, and it means very different things to different people.
Yeah, I think if we have a model, right, a political model like Ohrid, the Ohrid conference, I think it was, or Ohrid agreement, I think it was in Macedonia, yeah. It was about, like, in a country where there are different ethnicities, you have, for example, in Macedonia, you have Serbs, you have Bulgarians, and some little, like, Greeks, right? So, yeah, you have, for example, Serbian leftists making coalitions with Bulgarian leftists. We're gonna see. I think we can apply that, and we're gonna do that, whether we want or not. Like, we're gonna have CTP making coalitions with Akel and something, and in the Turkish Cypriot community, in the constitute state of Turkish Cypriot, we're gonna have, like, different coalitions and such. And sometimes I'm thinking, all right, like, not with a bad intention. Sometimes I'm thinking, what are we gonna do on the times that we are not aligned, like our interests are not aligned with the people who came after the 74, like Turkish Cypriots and them, or the other immigrant groups, like with the Pakistani people, with others. But especially, I'm thinking after 74, are they gonna make any coalitions with Greek Cypriots right wing? Imagine, against like more moderate people. It's gonna be very interesting. Maybe you're gonna say hell no, but imagine, keep that possibility,
Okay, let me give you guys a real example of a dilemma that could happen in a reunified Cyprus. So, a reunified Cyprus is most likely going to give us 9 cabinet ministries. 3 of them will be covered by Turkish Cypriots. 6 of them will be covered by Greek Cypriots. Okay, so we've got 6 Greek Cypriots, 3 Turkish Cypriots. Turkish Cypriots demand 1 positive vote in all important decisions. Now, the Greek Cypriots, most of them, apart from, let's say, the Akel minister, they want to do an arms deal with Israel. So now we've got 3 Turkish Cypriots in cabinet, and the Greek Cypriots want a positive vote from them. Are they going to get it from UBP, who are fanatically aligned with Turkey? They could try the UBP member, but they're probably not going to get much luck because Turkey right now, its policy is, at least outwardly, against Israel. So then who are they going to try? Are they going to try the lefties, if there's a TDP or CHP cabinet member? I mean, so, like, under this dilemma, the arms trade simply wouldn't pass because you wouldn't get the required 1 positive vote from the Turkish Cypriot member. But yeah, I mean, I think in general, when we think about preparing for deadlock in the event of a future solution, the Greek Cypriots normalizing relations with Turkey and the EU normalizing relations with Turkey will naturally provide a very effective balance to make sure that all of our interests are aligned. But there are cases like the case of Israel, which is a very controversial thing between the 2 sides of the island. So yeah, it's like, how do we imagine these kinds of deadlocks will be broken? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll talk about, before I come to the cross-party voting system, I want to say that the Cypriot identity, because we were discussing about it, I always take, not because it's a good example, but the United States as an example. Because in the States, on paper, you can be a Jewish American, an African American, an Irish American, Italian American. You can be any ethnic descendant, but you are American and you are patriotic, and this country is a land of freedom and unites us all, etc. kind of a logic. And I always enjoy that because I always like it. And there's a reason why English is, there's no official language in the United States, there's no official religion in the United States, etc. because it was to accept every single colony back then in the colonial era, the Dutch, the French, the English, etc. And now today with the African Americans, the Mexicans, and more. And I think the biggest distinction between a normal nationalism, which is the closest ones are like Turkish and Greek nationalism, which is based on both on religion, state, and also blood, because I think they believe that Greek is a DNA, Turkish is a DNA, and they're separate, etc. And Cyprus, you can't do that because they outright reject the Cypriot bloodline, the Cypriot thing, because it's not a historical bloodline. You can't trace back Cyprus thousands of years into one specific pinpoint, like Athens or like in Göktürkler in Asia. So I think the Cypriot logic, what people need to think is that we're not DNA, we're not ethnical. So that means that we need to do either civic nationalism or state nationalism, which is the state itself gives us the identity, like the Soviet Union. They don't want to do pro-Russian ethnic nationalism, but Soviet Union nationalism, or Switzerland model, which is civic nationalism, which is the institution itself gives us the identity. We are 3 or 4 different tribes, yet we are we are part of Switzerland. We support the Switzerland football team and its institution, and the institution itself, the civic institution and civic duty, gives us the loyalty to the state. I think there's and I think a combination of both needs to apply on Cyprus, accepting all communities, that you can be a Russian Cypriot, an African Cypriot, Afro-Cypriot, sorry. You can be a Jewish Cypriot, an Armenian Cypriot, Turkish Cypriot, Greek Cypriot, and so on and so forth. But you are bound to the loyalty of the state of Cyprus. The federative state of Cyprus, you are loyal to it. This is the way, and you are patriotic towards it. And the reason why you are bound it because of the civic nationalism that you are going to get in Switzerland. Yes, we have football teams, we have state itself that gives you opportunities and security and so forth. This needs to be formed in the people's mind, and of course, this is such a futuristic and utopic idea that the normal average individual doesn't think about it. That's why I think the Cyprus problem is also very complex, because they don't want to nation build a new identity. They want to preserve what they have right now towards the future, because that's what feels familiar or not.
Yeah, go on.
I just want to say, like, sorry, real quick. I just want to say that, like, when we talk about Cypriot nationalism, I mean, not only me. I think I like all of the people, all of the Cypriots that I see. They don't mean like, oh, we're the best, we are the superior or something. No, just like when they ask you where you're from, this one. That's it. Like, I love it. It's my country. It's have its wrongs. Yeah, let's talk, let's laugh, let's debate about it, whatever. But I'm from here. This is my country. I'm belong to this community. You know? This is it. Like, more of a patriotism rather than nationalism that people understand. So it's a bit different than Greek and Turkish nationalism, I think. What do you think, Doruk?
I've been having a lot of discussion with my good friend Urjan for a couple of days about the Cyprus flag, and I'm not going to get into who said what or whose opinion is who. It was a very nice discussion. We've had this a couple of times, but I think in a general perspective, the RIOC flag is very symbolic, in my opinion. It's done by Ismet.
Let me show you. Oops. All right.
Ismet Güney, a Turkish Cypriot, represents both communities, represents peace, represents the island. The island is more in front, upright, than the other communities, than other historical ties. And I love the flag itself. However...
And these... Oh, Doruk is gone. Okay, let me take it over. So yeah, these two branches are like representing the both communities, like Turkish Cypriot and Greek Cypriot. And they like come together. Doruk, you can continue. I just take it over once you are frozen.
But if the institution behind the flag right now doesn't really represent the Turkish Cypriots, yes, it did represent us with Niyazi Kızılyürek, I think, back in the parliament number, but right now the government institution doesn't really. Like, it doesn't really give, I don't want to say the word chance or opportunity, but I want to say actual representativeness. And it doesn't feel like I'm part of the state itself, obviously, for political reasons. I mean, the existence of TRNC is we're separating ourselves from the Republic of Cyprus, but I think if peace needs to come by, either the RIOC and the flag itself needs to represent the Turkish Cypriots as well, or the next generation won't know what the RIOC is and how it helps, etc. And Niyazi, I'm going to give you the floor in a second, but Niyazi Kızılyürek, it's man's name of Niyazi Kızılyürek. He wanted to open the right for Turkish Cypriots to open a bank account within the Republic of Cyprus, and I think that would have been a really big opportunity, because Turkish Cypriots could move their money into it, open a bank account, part of the Swiss system and EU system, integrate into it. Also, it's good interest rates, etc. They can take out loans, stuff like that. So, but obviously, when the Greek Cypriot administration won't accept this anyway. But there are like measures like this one, where Niyazi says, where you can integrate Turkish Cypriots and help them feel more part of the Republic of Cyprus. And of course, the best and most important is giving mixed marriage children citizenship. I think Berk is a mixed marriage child here, and giving him citizenship protects him and his identity and his right on the island as well. I think it's the most important one.
Right. So we got questions from actually very famous YouTube channel called 49W 49W. Yeah, they are asking us that after the visit of Guterres, do you think we will have again like a negotiation for peace? And he said that personally, when the Greek Cypriot side is engaged, is like connected, I think, engaged, when they're like in cooperation with Israel, I do not expect anything, for example. he said that.
There's a couple of things I can answer. I think the first part Tim can answer better. I can answer the second part, the Israel part.
Engaged. Those are the questions, Tim.
So, do I think Guterres' meeting will be successful? Absolutely. There's signs that it's successful already. We're now preparing convergence document, both the sides, Turkish Cypriot side and Greek Cypriot side. This means they're going over what they last negotiated, which is a strong indicator that negotiations are about to happen again. At the same time, the size and scale of Turkey's potential rewards would make Erdogan quite rich. I mean, he's already one of the richest people in the region, but I'm sure if the Turkish defense industry gets a bootstrapping from the EU, him and his family will be even richer. And, you know, customs union upgrade, they can collect euros in tax. Like, I think they could potentially make silly money with a solution. So I think the conditions are there, and I think that things are moving towards negotiations now. As I mentioned, you can watch our guarantor conference video that we just filmed. But like, people are now starting to get appointed to Cyprus problem jobs. The sides are appointing negotiators. The EU is appointing a legal team. The EU has already appointed an envoy. So there's a lot of momentum, and I just don't see it fizzling out. And on the topic of Israel, because this is a very controversial topic, and I want to say that I am a Turkish Cypriot. I live in the south. My community comes first. At the same time, my focus is on what the south is doing to get us reunification. And Israel does present a worrying development, and I think most of the worry comes from the fact that deep down Israel probably most likely doesn't want a solution in Cyprus, because the 3+1 alliance, Greece, Cyprus, and Israel, it enables it to get a strong foothold in the Eastern Mediterranean. And if you want to bring Turkey into the Eastern Mediterranean, fixing the Cyprus problem will bring Turkey into the Eastern Mediterranean in quite a huge way. The Greek Cypriots' plans, their geopolitical plans, will be adapting to be pro-Turkey. And the Greek Cypriots know this. So Israel does present a worrying development, but at the same time, this is kind of the dark logic of the Israeli alliance. I think it's also helping us in a way, because what the Greek Cypriots are doing, they didn't start the Israel alliance now. They started it back in 2012, and it was actually an Akel government, a left-wing Greek Cypriot government, that allowed Netanyahu to make the first state visit to Cyprus. And this was shortly after the Israelis had killed 10 Turks on an aid boat to Gaza, right? So the Israelis had killed 10 Turks. Turkey had said, right, we're kicking out the Israeli embassy, no more diplomatic relations with Israel. And then the following year, the Greek Cypriots entered an alliance with Israel. And it was very clear. I think it came from like quite a callous place. They were just thinking, oh, the Israelis can clearly hit the Turks quite hard. Our enemy's enemy is our friend. That's where the alliance started. But the reason why the Greek Cypriots have maintained it today is because it gives them a channel to the Americans. And if you notice, under Nikos, in the last 2 or 3 years, the south side of the island has been Americanizing hard. I'm not just talking about the American military moving in, they're training the National Guard. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm also talking about business interests are moving in. I think Amazon are opening up a branch somewhere. And also just cultural interests are moving in. 200 meters down my road, there's a Mormon church opening up with American missionaries. So the Americans, when I say the Americans are moving in, I mean the Americans are actually moving in, guys. I'm not like shitting you. And that's why the Republic of Cyprus is towing this line, because they want direct access to Washington. Nikos was the first Greek Cypriot president to visit Washington. And from what I know of that outcome, he proposed to Biden, if we'll let you, if you lift up our arms embargo, if you help us with Cyprus, if you modernize our military, then we can offer you Cyprus as a NATO country after a solution. So I know that the Americans, that has got the Americans' attention. And then the other reason why the Greek Cypriots are towing the line with Israel, again, Brussels. This electricity interconnection project between Greece, Cyprus, and Israel is largely funded by Brussels. And I think Brussels wants to see it through to the end. So basically, the way you've got to think about the Greek Cypriot relationship with the Israelis is that Nikos, he's kind of a puppet like Tatar was with Ankara, but his higher powers in the interest of solving the Cyprus problem are Brussels and Washington. And he doesn't want to take a foreign policy step that will alienate them. But at the same time, the Greek Cypriots know exactly what's going on in Gaza. They know about the genocide because whenever they've got this policy of equal balance right now, and to any rational person, that must sound mad. There's a genocide going on. How can you be equally balanced? Well, they know that it's going on. And whenever Nikos has to fly to Jerusalem, he then goes to Ramallah. And that's the policy of equal treatment. And, you know, Abbas is sitting there giving him a long list of war crimes that the Israelis committed this month or something. So they know exactly what's going on. And this is a calculation that they've made. And it's unfortunate, and there are parts of it that don't work in our interests, and there are parts of it that does, and that's the messy, complicated reality of it.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't want to regurgitate, re-say what Tim said, but yeah, the Guterres coming onto the island is already a big deal, and it symbolizes a 5+1 negotiations, but also the reason why negotiations will start the same as 2004 and 2018. It's that Turkey wants to get customs union access, so you need to see that, oh, look, the negotiations are happening, I'm not an obstacle, I'm not going to oppose it, therefore give me access to the 150 billion military fund that the EU want to raise, and even more than that, and we want to be the military complex, give me the investments, but more stuff in terms of EU. EU is trying to create a banking system. I believe Turkey has sent a letter to EU that to state interest that they want to be part of the new Swiss EU banking system, and they really want to be part of it, etc., because they want to protect their own national interest. And Turkey, being both a member of Swiss and the EU banking system, will protect its transactions against the United States. It will create an independent era. EU also benefits from it. So the Greek Cypriots are allowing high-level talks since, I believe you have to fact-check me, but since Tufan Erhürman has gotten elected, the moment Tufan Erhürman got elected, the Greek Cypriots allowed EU to start negotiations behind the scenes. And you have to just take my word on it.
No, just to verify Doruk's point, he's right. The high-level economics talks between Turkey and the EU had been frozen for 6 years. And shortly after Tufan got elected, the Greek Cypriots lifted their veto. So there are now negotiations between EU and Turkey behind closed doors about what an EU-Turkey deal would look like.
Yep, just definitely. When we say behind the closed doors, there's no way to verify it, but you can see hints in the newsletters. For example, Nikos Christodoulides said to Ursula von der Leyen when they were going to talk with Turkey that Cyprus problem is always foremost #1 issue of the EU, and Ursula von der Leyen said, yes, okay, we're going to talk with them, etc. And there's a couple of glimpses of the backdoor negotiations, and we in SciTopic, we have good connections with Republic of Cyprus, and also with the presidency of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. We are, I think, very well connected as well on that topic, and negotiations happen behind the scenes between Turkey and the Republic of Cyprus, because the Republic of Cyprus has a couple of things. In the last video we discussed with Halef, and Halef has the ability to explain these better, but there are some stuff that Greek Cypriots want, there are some stuff Turkish Cypriots want, there are some stuff that Turkey wants, and Turkey and Greek Cypriots are negotiating behind the scenes, not for a solution, but for a better regional development and cooperation.
Normalization, let's call it.
Normalization, but also there's another thing as well, and this is the EU pressure on the Greek Cypriots. EU is, if you read a couple of newspapers, EU is really disturbed that an EU state is really close to Israel, especially when they want to take a stance a little bit further away from Israel. And the Republic of Cyprus is integrating militarily, economically, politically with the state of Israel. Therefore, this also creates a bit of an issue with Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots, #1. Number 2, it creates a Greek Cypriot versus EU problem as well. So the EU, for EU, a solution on the island means that less dominance of Israel. A solution in Cyprus is less dominance of Israel for Turkey as well. Also, Turkey maintaining its military bases, its hegemony through the Turkish Cypriots, and creating a new country would abolish any lawful military demands cooperation with Israel as well. I'm bluffing. I'm blurring my English right now.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were like done. I just wanted
Yeah,
to
I'm done.
say this real quick. Yeah, you said that Turkey maintaining its hegemony via the Turkish Cypriots. I don't know how much. I don't know how much they can do that though. Especially nowadays that we have strong Cypriot identity and not much of a sympathy towards their policies. If we unite, I don't think will be their usable tools. What they can use after solution is the military, the respective military bases that they get. Of course, we'll have some people still having sympathy with them, obviously, but I don't think majority will be like their tool or something. Maybe they will still have hard feelings due to the past,
When I
like
say
when we're doing.
tool, I don't mean actual political tool. Let me. I
Mhm.
apologize for that. What I mean is obviously for security, regional security, issues with Israel, issues with Palestine, issues with multiple things.
Yeah,
The Turkish Cypriot community and Republic of Turkey have same political opinions on this.
yeah.
There's no other opinion, and from the right, far left to far right, all of the Turkish Cypriot community agrees that Israel is a bad, and Palestinians are being massacred, etc., and so forth. And obviously, these are not my opinions; these are Republic of Turkey's stance. I just want to disclaim that,
Mhm.
so that I don't get battered. But basically, we Turkish Cypriots align with it. So in a sense that Turkish Cypriots and Turkey's external policies align. Therefore, a newly formed Republic of Cyprus will have similar stance with Republic of Turkey and will have more cooperation with Turkey than Israel. This is not Greeks versus Turkey issue. It's Turkey versus Israel issue, and I think the Greek Cypriots will also take the side of Turkish Cypriots as well. I think Akel also has a better political stance in terms of the Israel issue as well. So I think there's a big power for the newly formed Republic of Federative Cyprus and Turkey to work together for regional issues than the newly formed republic with Israel.
Sorry, someone asked something. Lack of Turkish language in the Republic of Cyprus is also not helpful. And then they say, can you, yeah, can you increase the volume a bit?
Uh, let me try to hear myself.
Well, they have Turkish in the Republic of Cyprus. I don't understand what is like. What's the question? What's the matter, Hussein Erdal? Like, how can I say? If you ever go to Republic of Cyprus, like you have, it's in the constitution and in the street signs. You clearly see. I mean, not all streets, I think, but you still have, or in the government buildings, right? In the government buildings, it says Yüksek Mahkeme or something like that in wherever you go. So even in the IDs, the EU ID, Republic Cyprus ID, it says Kıbrıs Cumhuriyeti adı, soyadı. It says there. So maybe you mean like in every way, in everything, because if you go to a bureaucratic place, a bureaucratic building in the Republic of Cyprus, you have a right to call a person who speaks Turkish language. So, well, it's a bit slow functioning process, but you still have it and they will bring. So,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
from my experience as an immigrant in the South, because even though I'm British Cypriot, I don't have just for the benefit of the listeners, I don't have the Cypriot citizenship. I'm still waiting for it. So technically, I'm an immigrant. And as an immigrant here, when I'm requesting forms to fill in, there's only two options. There's Greek or English. And like, I'm coming to a country that officially, nominally speaks Turkish as well. But when I request immigration forms, they're only printed in Greek and English. Nobody's going to immigrate to South Cyprus and ask for a Turkish form. So, and also one of my friends from English school told me that it's really annoying that when the EU does these like reunification events often. The languages are in English and Greek. And yeah, it kind of makes Turkish Cypriots feel excluded when everybody's gibbering around them in Greek, and you know, they can't speak their language in a Cyprus reunification event. So I think, yeah, it's far from ideal here. They could do more.
I mean,
wait, can I test my microphone?
Sorry.
Please?
All right. Hey. All right. So I want to just quickly say something to the question. He says that, sorry, you are talking about the feeling involved in / included in Republic of Cyprus, but Turkish language is not used within the Republic of Cyprus that much. To have your rights, you need to fight, you need to enter into the system, and you need to be part of the Republic that we have rights. We literally have IDs there. And how are you going to fight when you are not even in the same country? You got to be in the same country, you're going to belong to the same country to say, yes, I am here, I'm on the table. And you give the fight in the negotiation table first, and after you join and you unite in the process, you give the other fights. You need to fight for it. You cannot just expect like everything to be done and such. Yeah, that's my answer. Doruk, what do you want to answer to this person? Or you think it's like answer? Doruk, I don't hear you.
Oh no.
Sorry, I was working with the technical difficulties and was playing around with my microphone and also the stream itself. We had a lot of viewers. We had like 8 or 10 viewers peak, and now it's dropped to 2. It's because of the technical difficulties, I assume. I sincerely apologize. We had a couple of people watching us, and now they're all gone, and just 2 people left. And
They're like, go away.
It's all because of my technical difficulties. I messed up. So yeah, and I think all of the people who asked the questions are probably left because one of the viewers is you, Berk. I know you have the live stream open, so that
yes.
That means it's just.
Oh wait, so the other view must be mine. I just took it off.
Oh my gosh, man!
We're literally talking to ourselves.
We had a lot of people. I mean, yeah, I'll talk about the stream analytics and
because I will do the same when I watch some kind of live stream, and when it crashes, I will just exit and find a video. You know, we don't think much about it.
Yeah, same.
It's okay. It's understandable. Yeah. I forgive you guys. My gosh, man! I just ask with it. Ask with, and we post it.
Yeah, sure. As a Turkish Cypriot, I think Turkish not being in the Republic of Cyprus, even though it's a constitutional language, it's a bit annoying because it's not official EU language, etc. So even the EU itself feels like doesn't accept your existence within the EU boundaries and your citizenship. So I can feel some people why they don't feel recognized by not existing politically and institutionally and constitutionally. But there are like 14,000 Turkish Cypriots working in the south as engineers, accountants, and so on and so on.
Where did you get that number? Because I've heard like smaller numbers, which made me depressed. I had 700, and I had maybe less than 1,000.
Back in COVID, they had to release 10,000 working permits to cross the border outside of the students, because I was part of the students. I studied in the south, so I had to cross the border during COVID. That's why I know these numbers. And the Greek Cypriot administration back then wanted to increase from 10,000 to 14,000, so they accepted 4,000 more workers. That's how I know the numbers back in COVID era, but you guys can double check me in the internet. It should be there somewhere. Although it's really hard to find news articles from Cyprus. Not maybe in the Republic of Cyprus, but in Northern Cyprus, it's always so hard to find them because it's not properly archived and properly protected. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. I think I personally, because I'm not part of the institution and never faced it that much, I always faced Turkish in the ID documentary section, and I saw it in the courtyard in front. And maybe I wish there was some tabella